The worst part about finding out your wife is cheating isn't the betrayal, it's realizing you've been an idiot for months. I'm Grant Ellis, 34 years old, paramedic for Millbrook General Hospital, and apparently the last person in town to figure out my wife Lena was screwing around with Leo Barnes, the slickest real estate agent this side of Boston. You know the type: perfect teeth, designer suits that cost more than my monthly salary, and a handshake that feels like grabbing a rotten fish. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. It was 2:47 a.m. when everything fell apart. I'd just finished a brutal 12-hour shift dealing with overdoses and car accidents, the kind of night that makes you question humanity's survival instincts. All I wanted was a beer and maybe 10 minutes of mindless television before crashing. But Lena wasn't home. Her wine glass sat on the kitchen counter, lipstick stain on the rim, still half full of that expensive Chardonnay she'd been buying lately, the kind that cost $40 a bottle, way above our budget. Her phone buzzed against the granite countertop like an angry wasp. I shouldn't have looked. Any marriage counselor would tell you that checking your spouse's phone is a violation of trust. But when that phone lights up with 17 missed calls and 43 text messages, all from Leo B., well, trust was already circling the drain. Where are you? Everyone's asking about the necklace. Stick to the story. Grant can't know anything. Meet me at the usual spot. We need to talk about tonight. My hands started shaking, not from fear, from rage. Pure, white-hot fury that started in my gut and spread through my chest like poison. The usual spot. How long had this been going on? I scrolled further back. Weeks of messages, months maybe, plans for secret meetings, complaints about me. Grant's working late again, perfect timing. He's so clueless, it's almost sad. Can't wait to be done with this charade. The front door slammed open at 3:15 a.m. Lena stumbled in, her black dress wrinkled, makeup smeared, looking like she'd been through a blender. Her eyes went wide when she saw me sitting at the kitchen table, her phone in my hands. "Grant, you scared me. Why are you still up?" "Interesting question, Lena. I could ask you the same thing." She tried to laugh, but it came out strangled. "I was at Tracy's. Girls' night, remember? I told you about it." "Funny thing about Tracy," I said, standing up slowly. "I called her 20 minutes ago. She's been home all evening, sick with the flu." The color drained from Lena's face. She reached for her phone, but I pulled it back. "Looking for this? It's been quite entertaining, especially the part about the necklace." "What necklace, Lena?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Really?" "Because Leo seems pretty worried about it. And something about sticking to a story." "What story is that?" She lunged for the phone then, desperation making her clumsy. "Give it back. You have no right." "No right?" I stood up and she took a step back. Good. She should be scared. "I'm your husband, remember? That guy you promised to love and honor? Or was that just another story?" "Grant, please, you don't understand." "Then explain it to me. Explain why you've been sneaking around with Leo Barnes. Explain these messages. Explain why you're coming home at 3 a.m, looking like you've been wrestling in a parking lot." Tears started streaming down her face, but they looked fake. Calculated. Everything about Lena was calculated, I was realizing. How had I missed it? "It's not what you think," she whispered. "It's exactly what I think. The question is, what else don't I know?" She slapped me then. Hard. The crack echoed through our kitchen like a gunshot. My cheek burned, but not as much as my pride. "How dare you go through my private things? How dare you spy on me?" I laughed. Actually laughed. "Spy on you? Lena, you left your phone on the counter. It was buzzing like a smoke alarm. I thought it might be an emergency." "It is an emergency," she said, and for a second, I thought she might tell me the truth. Instead, she grabbed the phone from my loosened grip and ran upstairs. A few seconds later, her bedroom door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. I stood there in my kitchen, cheek stinging, surrounded by the wreckage of my marriage, and realized something important. I wasn't sad. I wasn't heartbroken. I was furious. And Grant Ellis angry was a dangerous thing. The next morning, Lena was gone before I woke up. No note, no explanation, just the faint scent of her perfume and a coffee cup in the sink. I might have thought I'd dreamed the whole thing if not for the red mark on my cheek and the sick feeling in my stomach. I called in sick to work, first time in 3 years. Samantha Chen, my favorite ER nurse, sounded concerned when I told her I had food poisoning. "You sure you're okay, Grant? You sound weird." "Define weird." "Like you want to murder someone." "Smart woman, Samantha." "I'm fine. Just need a day to sort some things out." "Uh-huh. Well, don't do anything stupid. The hospital needs you, and orange jumpsuits clash with your complexion." After hanging up, I made coffee and tried to think rationally. What did I actually know? Lena was having an affair with Leo Barnes. They were worried about some necklace, and apparently I was supposed to be kept in the dark about something. I needed more information. Leo Barnes worked at Millbrook Premium Properties, the kind of place that sold overpriced condos to people who wanted to feel important. I'd met him exactly 3 times. At our wedding, at a hospital fundraiser, and at a barbecue last summer, where he'd spent 20 minutes explaining why my job was noble but financially limiting. Each time, I'd wanted to punch his perfect teeth down his throat. Now, I had a reason. I drove to his office, a glass and chrome monument to pretension downtown. The receptionist, a blonde woman who looked like she'd been assembled from magazine clippings, smiled at me with practiced warmth. "Can I help you?" "I'm looking for Leo Barnes. I'm Grant Ellis, Lena's husband." Her smile flickered. Just for a second. But I caught it. She knew something. "Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Barnes is out showing properties today. Can I take a message?" "Sure. Tell him Grant Ellis stopped by. Tell him we need to talk about last night." The color drained from her face. I'll make sure he gets the message." Interesting? Very interesting. My next stop was Tracy Morrison, Lena's supposed best friend. Tracy lived in a tidy colonial on Maple Street, the kind of neighborhood where people actually knew their neighbors and cared about property values. I rang the doorbell at noon. Tracy answered, looking genuinely sick, pale, red-nosed, wrapped in a bathrobe that had seen better days. "Grant, what are you doing here?" "Checking on you. Lena said you had girls' night last night, but when I called, you sounded terrible." Her eyes darted away from mine. "Oh, that. Yeah, I felt better for a while, but then it came back. You know how the flu is." "Absolutely. So what time did Lena leave?" "Leave?" "From girls' night. What time did she head home?" Tracy's face went through several expressions: confusion, panic, calculation. She left early. Around 10, I think. I was feeling pretty rough. But you just said you felt better for a while." "I did. Then I didn't. It was a weird night." I smiled at her, the kind of smile that doesn't reach your eyes. "Weird how?" "Grant, I don't feel good. Can we talk later?" "Sure, Tracy. Feel better. And tell Lena I stopped by, will you?" She closed the door a little too quickly. By the time I got home, I had a clearer picture. Lena was lying. Tracy was covering for her. Leo's receptionist knew something she wasn't supposed to know. And somewhere in all of this was a necklace that had everyone worried. I was missing something big. At 4:30, my phone rang. Detective Ray Morrow, Millbrook PD. I'd worked with him on several cases: overdoses, domestic violence calls, the usual intersection of law enforcement and emergency medicine. "Grant, I need you to come down to the station. We need to talk." "About what?" "About last night. About a party on Lakeside Drive. About some missing jewelry." "Ray, what's going on?" "Just come down, Grant. And you might want to bring a lawyer." The police station smelled like disinfectant and desperation. Ray led me to an interview room that looked exactly like every cop show you've ever seen. Gray walls, metal table, chairs that were designed to be uncomfortable. Grant, I'm going to show you some security footage. I want you to tell me what you see. He turned on a tablet and pressed play. Grainy black and white video showed a crowded party. Expensive house, expensive people, expensive everything. I watched for about 30 seconds before I saw her. Lena, in that black dress, talking to a man I recognized as Leo Barnes. They were standing near a display case, and as I watched, Lena reached inside and pulled out what looked like a diamond necklace. She handed it to Leo, who slipped it into his jacket pocket. And there, in the background, nursing a beer and looking bored out of his mind, was me. Ray, I can explain. Can you? Because what I see is your wife stealing a $50,000 diamond necklace, handing it to her boyfriend, while you watch from 10 feet away. I didn't know anything about that. I was just trying to survive the party. Whose party was it? Some client of Leo's. Richard Klein, I think. Lena said we had to go, that it was important for Leo's business. Ray paused the video. Important how? I don't know. Lena just said we needed to make an appearance. I hate those things, but she insisted. And you didn't notice your wife stealing jewelry? I looked at the screen again. In the video, I was clearly visible, but I was looking in the opposite direction, toward the bar. Ray, I was trying to get drunk enough to tolerate the small talk. I had no idea what Lena was doing. The necklace belonged to Klein's wife, family heirloom apparently, worth about 50 grand like I said. Jesus. Klein's pressing charges, grand larceny, and right now you're an accessory. My hands started shaking again. Ray, I swear to you, I had no idea. I believe you, Grant. You're not smart enough to be a criminal, but I need you to tell me everything you know about your wife and Leo Barnes. So I did. The affair, the secret messages, the lies, all of it. Ray took notes and nodded occasionally, but his expression never changed. Grant, I'm going to give you some advice. Get a lawyer. Distance yourself from your wife. And whatever you do, don't try to handle this yourself. What do you mean? I mean, don't go looking for Leo Barnes with revenge on your mind. I know you, and I know how you get when you're angry. Let the law handle this. I nodded, but we both knew I was lying. I found Leo Barnes at Murphy's pub 3 days later, holding court at the bar like he owned the place. He was telling some story about a big sale to a group of admirers who laughed at all the right moments, the kind of people who thought money made you interesting. He saw me coming and his face went pale, but he tried to play it cool. Grant, hey buddy, how's it going? We need to talk. Privately. Sure, let me just finish up here. I grabbed his arm, not gently. Now, Leo. His admirers scattered like cockroaches when the lights come on. Leo and I walked to a corner booth, and I made sure to sit where I could see the exits. Old habit from the job. Look, Grant, I know what you're thinking. Do you? Because I'm thinking about a lot of things right now. I'm thinking about my wife. I'm thinking about a $50,000 necklace. I'm thinking about how you've been screwing both of us for months. Leo held up his hands. It's not what it looks like. It looks like you seduced my wife, convinced her to steal jewelry, and set me up to take the fall. What part am I getting wrong? The setup part. We never meant for you to get involved. But you're fine with me being involved now. Leo shifted in his seat. Up close, he looked tired, stressed. The perfect hair was messed up, and his expensive shirt had a stain on the collar. Grant, you don't understand the pressure I'm under. Business has been terrible. I owe people money. Serious people. So, you decided to become a thief? It was supposed to be simple. Klein's got more jewelry than he knows what to do with. He wouldn't even notice one piece missing. Except he did notice. The insurance will cover it. Rich guys like that, they're insured for everything. I leaned forward. Leo, my wife is facing grand larceny charges. I'm facing accessory charges. Our lives are ruined because you needed money. I never meant for it to go this far. How far did you mean for it to go? Just the affair? Just the theft? At what point were you planning to tell me my marriage was over? Leo looked around the bar nervously. Keep your voice down. Or what? You'll steal my wallet too? Grant, listen to me. Lena and I, it's complicated. Explain it to me. Use small words. He took a long drink of his beer, buying time. Lena's not happy, Grant. She hasn't been happy for a long time. You work all the time. You never take her anywhere nice. You don't appreciate what you have. The rage I'd been carrying for 3 days finally boiled over. I reached across the table and grabbed Leo by his perfect tie, pulling him close enough to smell his expensive cologne. Let me explain something to you, Leo. I work all the time because I save lives. I don't take her places because we can't afford the places she wants to go. And I didn't appreciate what I had because what I had was a lying, cheating wife who was planning to destroy my life. Grant, let go. I'm not done. You want to know what's going to happen now? I'm going to make sure everyone in this town knows exactly what kind of man you are. I'm going to make sure your clients know you're a thief. I'm going to make sure your friends know you're a coward who hides behind other people's wives. I let go of his tie, and he fell back into his seat, gasping. And Leo, if I find out you've been planning to blame this on me, if I find out you've been setting me up from the beginning, I'm going to do a lot more than embarrass you. I stood up to leave, but Leo grabbed my arm. Grant, wait. There's something else you need to know. What? Lena, she's been planning this for months. The affair, the theft, all of it. She wanted out of your marriage, but she wanted to make sure she got something out of it. What are you talking about? She's been documenting things, taking pictures of bruises she gave herself, recording arguments, building a case that you're abusive. She was going to file for divorce and claim domestic violence. The world tilted sideways. That's insane. She showed me the pictures, Grant. She's good at it, very convincing. Why are you telling me this? Leo looked genuinely miserable. Because I'm in love with her, and she's using me just like she used you. The theft was her idea. She said it would give us money to start over somewhere else. But now that things went wrong, she's ready to throw both of us under the bus. I sat back down, hard. Jesus Christ. She's meeting with a lawyer tomorrow. Divorce papers, restraining order, the whole thing. She's going to claim you forced her to steal the necklace, that you threatened her. And you're going to back up her story? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I looked at Leo Barnes, really looked at him. Underneath the expensive clothes and perfect teeth, he was just another victim. Lena had played both of us. Leo, I'm going to give you one chance to do the right thing. What do you mean? Help me prove what really happened. Help me show everyone who Lena really is. I can't. If I betray her, she'll destroy me too. She's going to destroy you anyway. At least this way you go down fighting. Leo finished his beer and stood up. I'm sorry, Grant. I really am. But I can't help you. He walked away, leaving me alone in the corner booth with the wreckage of my life spread out around me like broken glass. But as I sat there, something shifted inside me. The hurt and betrayal were still there, but underneath them was something harder, something colder. Lena wanted to play games? Fine. I'd show her what happened when you played games with someone who had nothing left to lose. I spent the next 2 days planning my revenge with the same methodical precision I used to save lives. Every detail mattered. Every contingency needed to be covered. Lena thought she was smart, but she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated me. The first step was gathering evidence. Real evidence. Not the fabricated garbage Lena was putting together. I started with our joint bank account, printing out months of statements that showed her expensive purchases, her cash withdrawals, her pattern of deception. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, hotel rooms, all while she was telling me we needed to budget. Next, I visited Richard Klein, the man whose necklace had been stolen. Klein lived in a mansion on Lakeside Drive, the kind of place that screamed old money and older secrets. He was in his 70s, sharp-eyed and suspicious, the kind of man who'd built his fortune by reading people correctly. Mr. Ellis, he said, leading me into a study that probably cost more than my house. I wondered when you'd show up. Mr. Klein, I need you to know I had nothing to do with the theft. I know that already. You do? Klein smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. Son, I've been watching people steal from me for 50 years. You think I only have one security camera? He turned on a large television and showed me footage I'd never seen. Multiple angles of the party, including one that clearly showed me at the bar, completely oblivious to what Lena and Leo were doing across the room. This camera also picked up some interesting audio, Klein continued. He pressed another button, and suddenly I could hear voices. Lena's voice, "Are you sure about this?" Leo's voice, "Klein's got so much stuff he'll never notice. Besides, your husband's the perfect fall guy if things go wrong." Lena's voice, "Grant's so stupid he'll never figure it out." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "Mr. Klein, why haven't you given this to the police?" "Because I wanted to talk to you first, see what kind of man you are." "And?" "You're the kind of man who got dealt a bad hand but isn't whining about it. I respect that." Klein handed me a flash drive. "Everything's on here. Video, audio, timestamps, enough to clear your name and destroy theirs." "Why are you helping me?" "Because your wife and her boyfriend thought they could make me look like a fool. I don't like being made to look like a fool." The second step was isolating Lena from her support system. I started with Tracy, who was still pretending to be sick when I showed up at her house with a bottle of chicken soup and a recording device hidden in my jacket. "Grant, you really didn't need to. Tracy, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." She looked nervous. "Good. How long have you known about Lena and Leo?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Tracy, I have phone records. I have text messages. I have security footage. The question isn't whether you knew, it's whether you helped." Her face crumpled. "Grant, she's my best friend. She said you were controlling, that you were hurting her. Did you ever see any evidence of that? Any bruises that weren't self-inflicted? Any behavior that seemed genuinely abusive?" No, but you believed her anyway. She was so convincing. She said you threatened her, that you monitored her phone, that you got angry when she went out with friends." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Tracy, when have I ever stopped Lena from doing anything? When have I ever even raised my voice to her before last week?" "I don't know, I wanted to help her." "You helped her commit a felony. You helped her destroy my life. You helped her build a case based on lies." Tracy started crying. "I didn't know about the necklace. I swear, Grant, I didn't know about that." "But you knew about the fake abuse claims." She said she needed documentation for the divorce. She said it would help her get a better settlement. "And you thought that was okay?" I thought you deserved it." The words hung in the air between us like poison gas. "Tracy, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Tomorrow, Lena's going to ask you to lie for her. She's going to ask you to testify that you saw me hurt her, that you witnessed me being controlling and abusive, and you're going to tell her no. Grant, you're going to tell her no, Tracy, because if you don't, I'm going to make sure everyone knows you helped her commit fraud. I'm going to make sure your husband knows you've been lying to him for months. I'm going to make sure your kids know their mother is a criminal." She stared at me with wide, frightened eyes. "You wouldn't. Try me." The third step was the hardest, confronting Lena directly. She'd been staying at Leo's apartment since our kitchen confrontation, but I knew she'd have to come home eventually. She had clothes here, personal items, legal documents, and sure enough, on Thursday afternoon, I came home from work to find her car in the driveway. She was in our bedroom, packing a suitcase with shaking hands. When she saw me in the doorway, she froze like a deer in headlights. "Grant, I didn't expect you home so early." "Clearly." She tried to smile, but it looked more like a grimace. "I just came to get some things. I'll be out of your way in a few minutes." "Actually, Lena, I think we should talk. I don't think that's a good idea. I do. I sat down on the bed, making it impossible for her to continue packing without getting uncomfortably close to me. She stood there holding a sweater, uncertain. I know about the fake abuse claims, I said quietly. Her face went white. I don't know what you mean. I know about the pictures you took. I know about the recordings. I know about the lawyer. Grant, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. I pulled out my phone and played the audio from Klein's security system. Lena's voice filled the room. Grant's so stupid, he'll never figure it out. She dropped the sweater. I also know about the plan to frame me for the theft. I know Leo's broke and desperate. I know you've been planning this for months. Lena sat down hard in the chair by the window. How? Does it matter? The point is, your plan failed. I have evidence, Lena, real evidence. Video, audio, financial records. Enough to prove you're a liar and a thief. What do you want? I want you to understand what's going to happen next. You're going to call your lawyer and tell him you've changed your mind about the divorce. You're going to drop the abuse claims. You're going to confess to stealing the necklace. I can't do that. I'll go to prison. Probably. But if you don't, I'll make sure everyone in this town knows exactly what you are. I'll make sure your family knows. I'll make sure your co-workers know. I'll make sure your future is exactly as destroyed as you tried to make mine. She started crying then, real tears this time. Grant, please. I made mistakes, but I love you. No, you don't. You never did. You love the idea of being married to someone safe, someone stable, someone you could control, but you never loved me. That's not true. It is true. And you know what? I'm glad. Because the woman I thought I married wouldn't have been capable of this. The woman I thought I married was worth fighting for. You're not. I stood up and walked to the door. Pack your things, Lena. All of them. I never want to see you in this house again. Grant, wait. We're done talking. Your move. The town festival was Millbrook's biggest event of the year, a weekend-long celebration that brought together everyone who mattered in our small community. Local businesses set up booths, families brought picnics, and the gossip network operated at maximum efficiency. It was the perfect stage for what I had planned. I spent Saturday morning setting up my booth. Officially, I was representing the hospital's emergency services, handing out safety pamphlets and talking to kids about calling 911. Unofficially, I was positioning myself at the center of the social hub, where everyone would eventually pass by. Samantha Chen helped me arrange the display, though she kept giving me suspicious looks. Grant, you're being weird again. Define weird. Like you're planning something that's going to end up on the evening news. I'm just trying to do my civic duty. Uh-huh. And I'm just trying to win the Nobel Prize for medicine. At noon, I saw them arrive. Lena and Leo walking hand in hand through the crowd like they were the perfect couple. Lena wore a sundress that probably cost more than most people's car payments, and Leo was in his usual expensive casual wear. They looked happy, carefree, like they didn't have a worry in the world. That was about to change. I waited until they were near the center of the festival, surrounded by the maximum number of people, before I made my move. I walked over with a smile on my face, carrying a microphone I'd borrowed from the festival organizers. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, my voice carrying across the crowd through the sound system. Can I have your attention for just a moment? People turned to look, curious. Lena and Leo froze when they saw me. My name is Grant Ellis, and I work as a paramedic here in Millbrook. Some of you might know me. Some of you might know my wife, Lena. I gestured toward them, and the crowd's attention shifted. Lena looked like she wanted to disappear. I wanted to take this opportunity to share something important with all of you. You see, last week I discovered that my wife has been having an affair with Leo Barnes here. Gasps from the crowd. Leo started moving toward me, but I held up my hand. Now, that might just be personal business, something to handle privately. But it turns out there's more to the story. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the sound system. This is audio from a security camera at a party last weekend. I think you'll find it interesting. Lena's voice filled the festival grounds. Are you sure about this? Leo's voice. Klein's got so much stuff he'll never notice. Besides, your husband's the perfect fall guy if things go wrong. Lena's voice. Grant's so stupid he'll never figure it out. The crowd was silent. You could hear birds chirping in the trees. That's the sound of my wife and her boyfriend planning to steal a $50,000 necklace and frame me for the crime. Leo finally reached me, his face red with anger. You bastard, turn that off. Or what, Leo? You'll steal my microphone too? He took a swing at me. I'd been hoping he would. I ducked easily. 12 years of dealing with violent drunks in the ER had taught me a thing or two about avoiding punches. Leo's momentum carried him forward, and I helped him along with a gentle push that sent him stumbling into the dunking booth. The crowd laughed and applauded. Leo came up sputtering, his designer clothes soaked, his perfect hair plastered to his skull. But wait, I continued. There's more. I played another audio clip, this one from my conversation with Tracy. Tracy's voice. She said she needed documentation for the divorce. She said it would help her get a better settlement. My voice. And you thought that was okay? Tracy's voice. I thought you deserved it. That's my wife's best friend admitting that Lena was faking evidence of domestic abuse to use in our divorce proceedings. The crowd's mood was shifting from entertainment to genuine anger. People in small towns don't like being lied to, and they especially don't like people who make false accusations about serious crimes. Lena finally found her voice. Grant, stop this! You're humiliating yourself! Am I? Because from where I'm standing, I'm not the one who looks humiliated. She was right, though. I was humiliating myself, but I was destroying her, and that made it worth it. Ladies and gentlemen, I continued, I want you all to know that the police have been provided with all the evidence of the theft and the fraud. Justice will be served through proper channels. But I thought you should know what kind of people you've been socializing with. I handed the microphone back to the festival organizer and walked away, leaving Lena and Leo standing in the middle of a crowd that was now looking at them like they were poisonous snakes. Behind me, I could hear Lena screaming my name, but I didn't turn around. The final confrontation came that evening. I was at home, grilling a burger on my back porch and enjoying the first peaceful moment I'd had in weeks when my former friends showed up. Mike Henderson, Tom Rodriguez, and Dave Chen, Samantha's husband, and two guys I'd known since high school. They'd been Leo's friends first, part of his social circle, and they'd made it clear whose side they were on when the affair came to light. Grant, Mike said, his voice tight with anger. We need to talk. About what? About what you did today. That was way over the line. I flipped my burger and looked at them calmly. Was it? Because from where I sit, exposing thieves and liars seems like a public service. You destroyed Lena's reputation, Tom said. You humiliated her in front of the entire town. She destroyed her own reputation when she decided to become a criminal. I just made sure everyone knew about it. She made a mistake, Dave added. People make mistakes. A mistake is forgetting to put the milk back in the refrigerator. Planning to steal $50,000 and frame your husband for abuse isn't a mistake. It's a felony. Mike stepped closer, trying to intimidate me. You need to make this right, Grant. Apologize publicly. Admit you were lying. Or what? Or we'll make you. I set down my spatula and turned to face them fully. Let me understand this. You three want me to publicly apologize for exposing the fact that my wife is a thief and a liar? That's right. And if I don't, you're going to, what, beat me up? 3 against 1? They exchanged glances. That was exactly what they were planning. You know what, guys? Go ahead. Take your best shot. I spread my arms wide, making myself an easy target. But before you do, let me ask you something. Mike, how long have you known me? Since high school? And in all that time, have you ever known me to lie about something important? Mike hesitated. No, but Tom, when your dad had his heart attack, who worked on him in the ER for 6 hours to save his life? You did, but that doesn't... Dave, when your wife was in that car accident, who held her hand and kept her calm while we cut her out of the wreckage? Dave looked uncomfortable. Grant, that's not the point. That's exactly the point. You've known me for years. You know what kind of man I am, but you're willing to beat me up to defend a woman who stole $50,000 and tried to frame me for abuse. The fight went out of them visibly. That says something about you, doesn't it? Mike tried one more time. Grant, Lena says you've been controlling, that you threatened her. And you believe her? Even after hearing the audio recordings? Even after seeing the evidence? She's convincing, Tom said weakly. She's a liar, and apparently she's not the only one. I picked up my spatula and went back to my burger. You guys can leave now. We're done being friends. They stood there for another minute, uncertain, before finally walking away. I watched them go and realized I felt nothing but relief. If they were willing to choose criminals over truth, I was better off without them. 3 weeks later, I was back at Murphy's pub, sitting in the same corner booth where I'd confronted Leo, when Detective Ray Morrow slid into the seat across from me. Buy you a beer, Grant? Sure. We celebrating something? Justice, maybe. Leo Barnes pled guilty this morning. Grand larceny, conspiracy, fraud. He's looking at 3 to 5 years. And Lena? She's fighting it, but her lawyer's already talking plea bargain. The evidence is overwhelming, and her credibility is shot after that stunt you pulled at the festival. Ray signaled the bartender for 2 beers. Speaking of which, that was either the stupidest thing I've ever seen or the most brilliant. I haven't decided which. Probably both. You know you could have just given me the evidence and let the system work. The system doesn't care about humiliation, Ray. It only cares about punishment. I wanted both. Our beers arrived, and Ray raised his in a toast. To getting even. To getting justice, I corrected. Same thing, in this case. We drank in comfortable silence for a while before Ray spoke again. So what now? You going to stay in Millbrook? Where else would I go? This is my home. Even after everything that happened? Especially after everything that happened. I'm not running away because my wife turned out to be a criminal. Fair enough. What about the divorce? Lena's lawyer contacted me yesterday. She wants to settle quietly, no contest, split everything 50-50. You going to take it? Hell no. She's going to prison, Ray. She doesn't get to profit from that. Ray laughed. You're a harder man than I gave you credit for. I'm a man who got played for a fool. That's not happening again. The next morning, I was back at work, running calls and saving lives like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. My co-workers treated me differently, not worse exactly, but with a new kind of respect. Word had gotten around about what Lena had tried to do and about how I'd handled it. Samantha cornered me during our lunch break. Grant, I owe you an apology. For what? For thinking you were planning something stupid. Turns out you were planning something brilliant. I was planning something necessary. Same thing. But I wanted you to know, what Lena did, what she tried to do to you, that was evil. And you handled it exactly right. Thanks, Sam, that means a lot. Also, my husband feels like an idiot. He should. They all should. Dave wants to apologize. Dave can go to hell, him and the other 2. Samantha nodded. Fair enough. But Grant? Yeah? Don't let this make you bitter. Don't let what she did poison the rest of your life. I won't. I'm not bitter, Sam. I'm free. And I was. For the first time in years, maybe for the first time ever, I was completely free. Free from lies, free from manipulation, free from people who didn't deserve my loyalty or my trust. That evening, I was working in my garden, something I'd never had time for when I was trying to maintain a marriage to a woman who was never satisfied. when a car pulled into my driveway. Richard Klein got out, moving slowly but purposefully toward where I was kneeling among the tomato plants. "Mr. Ellis? Mr. Klein, what can I do for you?" "I came to make you an offer." I stood up, brushing dirt off my hands. "What kind of offer?" "I need a security consultant, someone who understands how people think, how they operate, how they plan to deceive and steal." "I'm not sure I follow." "You figured out what your wife was doing. You gathered evidence, you built a case, you executed a plan that destroyed your enemies without breaking any laws. That takes intelligence and discipline. It takes anger and determination. Those two. The job pays twice what you make as a paramedic." I looked at him suspiciously. "Why would you offer me that?" "Because you're the kind of man who can't be bought, can't be intimidated, and can't be fooled twice. In my business, those qualities are rare and valuable. I like being a paramedic. You can still do that part-time if you want. But Grant, you've got skills that are wasted in an emergency room." I thought about it for a moment. A new career, new challenges, new purpose, a chance to help other people avoid what I'd gone through. "When do I start?" Klein smiled. "Monday morning, and Grant?" "Yes?" "Congratulations, you won." 2 months later, I was sitting in the same garden, reading the local newspaper's coverage of Lena's sentencing hearing. 3 years in state prison, plus restitution and probation. Leo had already started serving his sentence, and word was he wasn't adjusting well to prison life. The article mentioned that both defendants had expressed remorse for their actions and hoped for forgiveness from the community they had betrayed. I folded the newspaper and tossed it in the trash. Some things don't deserve forgiveness. Some people don't deserve second chances. And some victories are worth savoring. I had my life back. I had my self-respect back. I had learned who my real friends were, and I had learned what I was capable of when pushed too far. Most importantly, I had learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting ahead. Lena had tried to destroy me to build her new life with Leo. Instead, she had destroyed herself and given me the motivation to build something better than I'd ever had before. Justice isn't always served in courtrooms. Sometimes it's served in gardens, in new careers, in the quiet satisfaction of knowing that truth eventually wins. And sometimes, just sometimes, the good guy gets everything he deserves.